You want to talk about Astros? You want to stay away from it?
Do we want
'Cause I
people
thought-
to come back to church?
I think we should have a contest. Who can stay quiet the longest?
That's engaging content right there.
Who will break first? Ready? Begin.
And he's a secret Astros fan. Can you invest in the Astros? Like, are they like a public stock traded?
No, they're private.
What was
label.
that? Did you say something? I'm pretty sure we might have to go back in the recording, but I think I heard a no.
Totally with you.
What?
Totally with you.
What?
Totally with you.
What? What? You that made on there. I told you I'd break him. I told you. You,
Bro, this is recording. Broke. Welcome to the conversation, Rob. Hey, we just want to welcome you to ACC Talk. This guy wants to welcome you. His name is Rob. My name is Jarrell.
And my name is Dave.
Rob thinks he can make it through this entire ACC Talk and not say anything. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go with he is just stubborn enough to do that. So
He is. Let's see if we can bait him in, though. All right. So, where is your favorite place to eat?
in the area,
Let's do in the area and all time.
it is Torchy's. Torchy's is my favorite restaurant that we found since we moved here.
Robert, can you sign? It's very close for me. It's either Torchy's and or Zoe's.
Zoe's is good.
Zoe's is really good.
Yep.
All time.
All time. That's a tough one. That's really tough. It would have to be somewhere in Chicago, probably. Just some restaurants up there that we love. If I was going to choose like the one place that I would want to go if we were back in Chicago that would make sure that we went to, would be Giordano's for some Chicago style pizza.
So I can't really think of a place that's all time greatest for me, but I will say what speaks to my soul is California Mexican food. I love it. Absolutely love it.
What's the difference between California Mexican food and Texas Mexican food?
I don't want to offend. No, I'm just kidding. But really, I don't know. They just make things very different here. Tex-Mex is very different.
Well, I mean, just to be specific, what are the things about California Mexican food that you really like? Like, is it fresh? Feel it tastes fresher?
Yes.
A lot more fish?
No. I mean, you can have fish tacos, and I love fish tacos in California. But I would say I just can't necessarily find a place here that does like a carne asada burrito with just an amazing burrito. Like, I feel like it's just, I don't know, it's just different here. The taste, the flavors, the veggies, the pico, the avocado is just so different.
So, because we've lived in so many different areas and places, I can tell you, Mexican food everywhere is different.
Very true.
It's all different.
Very true.
I don't know. I can't really explain it. I'm sure it's just there's certain different areas of Mexico, and they all go to different places.
Mm-hmm.
But like Mexican food in Illinois,
And it's very Americanized.
oh, 100%.
Yeah, it's not like
Mexican food in Illinois, totally different. Mexican food in Arkansas,
yeah.
totally different. Mexican food in Arkansas is my favorite. They have white queso. It's delicious.
I love some white queso. Do you know the difference, Rob? Which do you prefer? Texas Mexican or California Mexican? Choose. Oh, I was going to say, I was like, you're going to lie on this vodcast. I don't care. Well, hey, we're so glad that you joined us today. We actually had a really great weekend. I think one of the favorite parts about this weekend for me was just watching all of the kids come in and watch JJ get baptized.
I love baptisms. They're one of my favorite things that we do as a church.
Yeah.
Just seeing someone, step up and make that choice, follow Christ, and then have his dad, Hector, be the guy that baptizes them, I think is incredible.
Yeah.
I love to see families just entering into that relationship together.
Yeah.
So
What did you love about the weekend, Rob? Same. He's really going to try to pull this off.
He's going to try to do it.
Well, it's going to be.
It's because you challenged him. It's your fault.
I know, but the people will see your pride. You're not delivering for them. All right.
Something else that I loved about this weekend, it's kind of like it's a personal story, but there's a family, there's a husband and wife, been coming to church since we've been there, since last February. And they came to our Discover 101 class a few months ago. And we talked about baptism, and we have a requirement that you've been baptized to be a member of ACC. And they came up this past week and said that they were both going to get baptized on the same day.
That's really cool.
Just super, super excited about stories like that, about families being changed because of Jesus and hanging out with us at ACC. So
yeah,
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say a second for me was preteen ministry. As you guys have probably noticed, for the last couple of weeks, I haven't been on the platform. It just given me an opportunity to kind of help in the back, but then also just kind of go around and film different things that are happening at church. And so, man, Simone and Whitney and Jasmine and Matthew and Brett and probably more, they're just killing it with preteen ministry. So we do that on our third service, so at 12:30. And it's 4th and 5th grade, and they just have so much fun. I think we had like 15 or 16 of them in that service, and so it was really cool just to see her.
That's awesome. I hadn't
team.
Heard that number, so that's pretty great.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good turnover from week to week.
Yeah. So it was really
cool. I think that's awesome
for sure. All right, cool. So today, the question that we wanted to really just kind of throw out to you, but then also for you to kind of hear either something that's personal to us, but then also maybe things that we've heard from other people. We wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what you need to stop doing in this new year, and that may allow you to be able to start doing something else. So whether that's a habit, or that's an addiction, or maybe it's a wasting of time in some sort of manner. Maybe it's something emotional that you need to leave behind in 2019 to step into 2020 and kind of be a new person. And so if there's anything like that resonates with you, we would love to hear that in the comments of maybe what you need to stop. And maybe you haven't thought about it, but maybe we'd love for you to think about it and then to write that in the comments. But what about you, Dave? Anything that comes to mind?
For me personally, I don't have anything necessarily that I'm trying to stop eating unhealthfully for this year. That is a big focus for me. It's kind of a what we talked about last week, just those resolutions and trying to hold to those things. So that's something that I'm working on, stopping for myself for sure, so that I can be healthier.
For sure. I think Rob told me something about like a golf ball, a rock, and some sand and some pebbles, but I wasn't really listening. So you're going to have to look that up on YouTube, and you have to see how it all fits in a jar, unless he would like to explain. Oh, he's not getting baited in. So this one isn't necessarily personal to me, but man, I've just run across several different people, and they have kind of voiced this to me in a lot of ways. And so I just wanted for it to be encouragement for you guys. But really, I think one of the big things is kind of leaving behind some insecurities so it doesn't necessarily prohibit them from having the type of life that they want to have in 2020. And so part of that is opening up, part of it's being vulnerable, part of it's, kind of sticking your neck out so that you have the opportunity to be a part of a community that loves you and that knows you and accepts you for who you are. And so I think that, man, there's just been several different individuals that I just see that as a common theme in their life, where there's things that are holding them back because, people will judge me or people won't be able to understand. And yeah, I feel like when we have that community, especially with Christian people, man, it can really change your life instead of living life alone.
Well, I think that's why small groups are so important for us, is that when we have a group of people around us and we're doing something that's harmful to ourselves, sometimes we don't see it. Sometimes we get blinded to it, and we actually need somebody else's perspective on our life to be able to speak into it and say, hey, you should stop doing that. You may not understand, and it may not be an addiction. It may not be something that they're doing per se, but it may be a way that they're reacting to things over and over again. Mm-hmm. It may be a way that they're thinking about things. And if they're just if we're left on our own, like, we get weird. And if we don't have people, speaking into our life, then we don't have that outside perspective that I think that we need. And I think that God really wants us to have, to be able to do that. And I think that's why groups are so important, and finding that community to really help you get through stuff, because it's, even with resolutions last week and talking about this week, we just need that group of people around us. I was actually looking at a study a few weeks ago. It was talking about how if you're committing to be healthy this year, the best thing you can do for yourself is surround you with a group of people that are also doing it, because you are more likely to follow through on a resolution or a change in life if you're surrounding yourself with people that are trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really cool.
That is really cool. Yeah, I think the big thing that I've noticed in that is so much is rooted in fear, like not knowing how other people will respond, and thinking, man, I'm the only person that struggles with this, or I'm the only person that has anxiety or depression. And it sounds crazy because we know that it's a widespread thing, especially in our society. But like, we feel like this paralyzation that if I were to come out and I were to say this, people would look at me different. When the reality is, with a loving community, people want to literally just like walk alongside you. But part of that is kind of denouncing that lie that if I say something to someone, then they're not gonna accept me.
Yeah, I think that is Satan's plan for your life. I think that's what he wants you to do. He wants you to isolate. He wants you to tell yourself that you're the only person that's ever struggled with this in the history of humankind, and that if you say something about it to somebody, that they're going to think you're a terrible person. And I think that's why, we talked about this in a sermon series a few months ago when we were kicking off groups in the fall. But there's a reason that lions will run at a group of zebras, because they're hoping that the group of zebras goes this way and one single zebra goes that way, because once we're alone and we separate ourselves from other people, we're open to attack, and Satan will just jump on it. He's looking for ways to take you out, and that's definitely one of his most evil tricks, I think.
Definitely. So what about you guys? What is something, maybe it's tangible, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's an addiction, maybe it's something, oh my goodness, I think one thing that kind of hits home for me, I gave somebody else an example. Man, I spend a dumb amount of time on social media, and it's one of the things that I realized that I can reach for that, before I reach for prayer or reach for my Bible. And so I definitely think that that's something that I need to severely limit in my life in terms of being able to, to experience the things that I want to experience with God and just in my life, that it can't, like I can have that out of proportion.
Yeah, just if you have an iPhone, like, you can turn on that weekly screen report and just look at that and then feel bad about the things that you probably should be saying. There's probably some things on that screen time report that you should probably be saying no to for a little bit.
Yeah.
But even if and I think, we were talking about this earlier, I think that when you say no, you don't have to say no forever. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're just taking a period of time and you want to maybe say no for a little bit, maybe be a fast. Because I think fasting is really important. It took me a long time to realize what fasting actually was. Because when I was growing up, I really thought fasting was just, if I deny myself of food for a few days, God will like me more. And he'll answer my prayers better. And that's actually not what it is. Fasting is really, it's about That we're made up of three things: our mind, our body, and our spirit. And the majority of our time, we're focused on feeding our mind and our body. And so we're focused on feeding our emotions, focused on, physically eating and feeding those things. And what fasting is it says, hey, I'm going to take a period of time and I'm going to actually not feed my mind or my body. And I'm going to focus on feeding my spirit, which is actually the part of us that lives forever. And so focusing on building that up. And what it does is it's not that God answers you better while you're fasting. It just puts you into a place where you can better hear God, because you're feeding the part of you that speaks to God. And I think that's really, really important. So maybe you're saying no for a little while. See how it goes. See what God speaks into your life because you took that step to say no to something.
Yeah, that's really cool. We kind of took a similar track this Sunday with the high school group, where we kind of posed the question, like, is it okay to listen to secular music? And where we landed the plane was, I don't want them all to go delete their playlist of music. But if you're reaching for your music to alter your mood, if you're reaching for your music to cope with the situation, did your situation change after you, permanently change after you listened? Or is the problem that you were trying to cover only covered up for a moment, and so it's kind of like one of those pieces that, if we're using YouTube and Netflix and binge watching all of these different things, because we're not satisfied and we're not content with where we're at, then I think that we have to take this real time to take a step back and say, maybe we're reaching for the wrong cup. I
gave my life to Christ when I was 14. And I was definitely one of those Christians for like a 6-7 year period where I didn't listen to secular music. Would only listen to Christian music. And it was a big deal for me. I really felt like it, and took it more of a kind of a religious look at it, unfortunately.
Zealot.
But what I found is that, yeah, absolutely.
I'm just kidding.
But what I found was that, I gradually started listening to secular music again in college. And I think it's all right to listen. I think it's all right to listen to it as long as you're really careful, but you have to really be careful about the things that you put into your life and allow to speak and have voice in your life, because there's some music, man, when you're listening to it, it is just it's not good. And sometimes it's just in the background. You don't even notice. But what are you setting your environment with? And so for me, I've always been, it's been really important for me that I'm much more protective about the things that I listen to and allow to speak into my life in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I have a thing where I listen to the Bible every morning when I'm driving to work. But even before that point, I'm really careful. I'm really most likely only going to listen to worship music in the morning, just because I want to start that day off on the right foot. And so, maybe it's that. Maybe it's not that you're completely taking secular music out like I did when I was a kid, but maybe you're just being protective about the times when you're allowing that music to listen to it. And so,
Hillsong in the morning, Led Zeppelin at night.
Hey, nothing wrong with it.
Cool. Hey, we would love to hear from you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Hey, we have 3 services this Sunday, and so we would love to invite you there at 9:30, 11, and 12:30 p.m. Anything else? Plug it now. Shamelessly plug it now.
Small group leadership, one more time. This Sunday night, would love to see you there. If God is really speaking to you about leading a group, I think it's your time. I think now is your time. I think if you will go back and listen to my message from this past weekend, just a call into leadership and enlarging your influence. I believe that God has something for you this year. And so show up, see what it's like. It's not a commitment to lead a group, but just come and see what leading a group at ACC looks like.
Who's preaching this weekend? This guy?
That would be Pastor Rob, the guy who isn't talking right now.
Yes, he's saving his voice for the weekend. All right. Hey, guys, thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you next Thursday.
solid one. Solid. Felt real solid.